All right, Anthony and I are podcast back for another episode. Jeffrey Epstein was nearly on to catch a predator. Had that story revealed this past week. Plus, Armie Hammer back in the news for some of those DMs. We got a lot to dig in there. And this Canadian couple that were fined after the husband was being walked by the wife like a dog. Exactly what you were picturing. Episode brought to you by Hero Soap Company. Link in the description below. More on them in a second. But first, we say hi to Frankie C., who's here to co-host. Frankie C., how are you, my friend?
Doing all right. Doing better than Armie Hammer.
I think we're all doing a little better than Mr. Hammer at this point. By the way, we did talk about Armie Hammer in a past podcast, so go to the podcast wherever you're listening from and track back a little bit if you want to catch up with that episode. We'll put links in the YouTube description for sure. And we did talk about Ghislaine Maxwell getting her own TV show. If you missed that on a previous episode, again, just go to our page, wherever you're listening, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, Apple Podcasts, and scroll back a couple episodes and check that out. But Epstein in the news again because Chris Hansen just admitted, now he was the guy who hosted To Catch a Predator.
Right.
Which was... By the way, a lightning rod of a show. Do you remember when everybody was talking about To Catch a Predator the next day?
Huge show. I mean, great.
Yeah.
Awesome for what it did.
Yeah. And it was A, entertaining, but B, you liked seeing these pieces of
Scumbags.
dirt get their comeuppance. You know what I'm saying? It was it was just, it was a great show all around. But anyway, Hansen said that back in 2014, 2015, he tried setting up an operation to get Epstein into incriminating himself on camera. He said he got as far as sitting down with some of Epstein's victims, but he was ultimately deterred after assessing that the security at the financier's properties in New York and Florida were just a bit too much to handle. He said, I quote, I met with these guys and they had a big file on Epstein, and I was trying to fashion a To Catch a Predator like sting operation in which we would catch him. But he said, quote, the levels of security at his place in New York were such that it was very difficult to come up with something. The Florida home was difficult to come up with something as well, end quote. He also said, quote, honestly, I got busy with other things. And he went on to say that it was his biggest career regret not following through with that.
Yeah. What other things could you get busy with? What's more important?
In hindsight, what you're saying is 100% correct. But when you're in the business of catching a predator,
I'm sure he had other predators to catch.
Yeah, exactly.
But this guy, Epstein's like in a video game. He's the final boss. You get him, roll credits.
He's Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. He
is Mike Tyson. He's the one you go after. Now, I don't understand how it would work. Like, if he's in 2014, 2015, he's trying to go after Epstein. Would that have interfered with investigations? Like, is he allowed to do that?
You know what? I don't know. That's a great question. I feel like I've seen him talk about this before, where he's said sometimes he would back off from stuff where there were ongoing investigations, but then there were, I think, more times than not where whatever it was that he got them to say on camera kind of helped them seal the deal on some of their investigations too. And plus,
right.
It was also the class of people he was going after were the people that were
the low, the scumbag bottom of the barrel types.
Yeah, lower level, and also still trying to hook somebody in at that during that time. It wasn't what this guy was, which is I guess a kingpin, which you could say.
I wonder if he would have been allowed to go after. I mean, the FBI, everybody's been on to or after trying to catch Epstein for a long time, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the only time I would say that they would deter him away, when they were trying to do a little bit of a sting operation, which, by the way, the police chief down in Florida was he tried to keep things ultra quiet while he was collecting all of this information from the
Right.
beginning. But once everything popped out, that was it was a bit of a different story. But I mean, look, it's commendable. And by the way, it's also commendable for him to even admit in this climate nowadays that
That he missed the boat on that one.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, if the excuse was, I was catching a million, I can't catch everybody. That's a tough one. I'm catching other people. I get it. Yeah, you got other stuff to do. But if it's like, I had my daughter's Sweet 16 to plan.
yeah. I mean,
That
but here's the
let
thing.
someone else plan it.
Here's the thing, though. Like the way it all winds up turning out, that sucks. Like I get him saying like it's his biggest career. Like you don't forget those missed.
Yeah.
Gather around, kids. I'm going to tell a story.
I'm leaving.
You're looking at and listening to two human beings that shared the same horrific experience together a number of years ago. I will not say when. The two gentlemen before you were 10.6 seconds away from winning the New York City High School Hockey Championship, and we did not
10.9.
win. They scored to tie the game, and we lost it in overtime, and it hangs with both of us to this day. 10.9 or 10.6?
And it does exist on tape.
Was it
10.9?
10.9. See, all right, I was close, but we know we know it was more than 10 seconds. We
That
don't
sucked.
forget it. When you have these moments, these missed opportunities, those times where you're like, you just don't forget it. So I sympathize with Chris Hansen here.
To be fair, I mean, Chris Hansen, credit where credit's due. The guy caught a lot of people. So I'm prepared to say, Chris Hansen, you did a great job with
Hall of Fame career. Yeah, Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, I mean, better than most people.
Yeah. Yeah.
In catching these guys.
In fact, he was one of those instances where he was the victim of his own success because I think the show got so big that then
it was harder and harder to do.
Yeah, you can't really continue to do it. You can't keep doing it because then everybody knows about it. But it was great, for the moments that it was there.
If the success of the show scares people into not doing that stuff, then great.
Exactly.
I mean, that's another benefit of making that show.
Exactly. There's a lot to unpack with this Armie Hammer stuff. Let's talk about Hero Soap Company first. They're my guys. Veteran-owned company made right here in the U.S. of A. Do you say USA or U.S. of A?
You could say both. Either one.
I know you can, but what do you prefer?
If I'm saying the U.S., I'd say the U.S. of A or the United States.
I don't know how I feel about
Made in
US
America.
of A people.
Made in America.
What about my wife is here? What about you? You say USA or US of A? You say USA. I'm starting to have a negative feeling about people that go US of A. I haven't fully formed this opinion yet, but in thinking about
I feel like that's the only acronym that we throw in a real word, like the full word.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any other acronyms where we throw the real word in there.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Anyway, Hero Soap. By the way, I can get to this level of thought process because I cleanse myself with Hero Soap Company. That's the level of clarity you'll be operating on. This actually might be counterproductive. We might have to do a make good for this because I don't know if I'm selling this the right way.
I think they might lose money on this one. I could hear them people returning bars of soap.
Well, if I'm going to start thinking like that guy, forget it. I was going to order, but now I just don't know. Order up a bar Hero Soap. They send a bar of soap over to our troops, which is just extraordinary work. And then, of course, they take a little bit of money out of their profits and they go ahead and they build mortgage-free homes for veterans. Okay?
Doesn't get better than that.
If we all acted 1.5% the way this company does, this world would be a much better place. A much, much better place. Save 20% off a subscription right now by using the promo code Anthony. Only use the link in the description below of this episode, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. Appreciate you listening, but use the link in the description so we can get credit for it. Thank you.
I wouldn't even know where to begin. Like, I know there's people out there that do it, but I don't know. How would you make your own soap?
Yeah, that's a good question. All my soap experience comes from Tyler Durden.
Tyler Durden.
Is that his name?
I don't know. What the
Who's
hell
the
are you
guy from
talking about?
Fight Club? Remember in Fight Club?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember his name. Tyler something. Yeah, but I don't know. Like if I right now, if you told me, Frank, go out there and make me a bar of soap, I would be like, all right, I could find maybe something that smells nice. But I don't know if you could call it soap. I don't know if you want to clean yourself with it.
I
I wouldn't know
feel
what to put in it.
I feel like you would be just rubbing one of those candy mints that they give you at the diner on the way out. You would just be rubbing that on your body, going, "Is this working? I don't know."
Couldn't hurt.
You would
They're
you would
sticky.
you would melt the candy soap and like add water to it or something and gelatin and hope that it would do something.
It's better than what you would do. Like the first step in making soap.
I have no idea on how to make
I'm
soap.
sure it involves melting something.
Yeah, I think something's got to get melted. You know what? I asked our guy over at Hero Soap Company when we were first talking. I was like, because he was a veteran, so I was like, how'd you go from, defending our freedoms to like, I know, I'll make soap, and I think I forgot what he said exactly, but I remember just being like, I guess so, because I think he wanted to be able to make something here, and
Okay.
this was like something.
You know what? If he's a veteran, I think he probably had the experience that he needed. Maybe it was not a lot of soap around when he was overseas or something.
Truth.
So maybe he saw a need in the armed forces for that kind of service. That makes kind of sense.
That's got to be rough when you go. You ever go like a day or two without showering? Like you go a weekend and you don't shower.
I get nice and greasy when that happens.
And you know what I always think about? I think about some of our troops that are in that scenario, but more than our troops, I think about like pre-showering being a common thing days. Like what was that stank
that was like? 200 years ago?
Yeah.
Everybody stinks, man. When was deodorant invented?
Like even like I'll think about that sometimes when I'm watching like movies about like the Continental Congress or whatever. Yeah, John. Yeah, they're all in this room in Philadelphia in the middle of the summer. You know what I mean?
I'm sure they didn't look as put together as they do in the movies.
No, and I just wonder. And the one thing you can set a mood, but you can't tell what that odor was in that room. And I can't imagine that being a nice odor.
I'm sure there were the days of people would go to the river and wash themselves somehow because they wash their clothes. They keep clean in certain ways, but I'm sure it wasn't an everyday thing.
I don't know, man. I think it was accepted. I think just everybody stunk and it was like just accepted. That's why like if you're like one of these people that, because there are some people that just don't stink. Like they can go like 4 days without a shower and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. I mostly call these people females. But
I would argue that plumbing has to be one of mankind's, if not the greatest invention of the modern era. Plumbing, so much good stuff is. You don't have to worry about where your waste goes.
True. But I also feel like air conditioning helped in this little scenario too, because
air conditioning's good.
Kept everybody cool from sweating and stinking up, and I don't know.
Yeah, there are alternatives, fans, pools, with plumbing. It's plumbing or a bucket.
I don't want to sound like a spoiled brat here, but I think I was born in the right time, because if I get around somebody that's got a little bit of a BO thing going on, I can't be near it. And if I was alive back then, you'd just be surrounded by it all the time.
Yeah, but you would stink too, and you'd be used to it.
I would hate it so much. I would just hate it so much. I'd be so miserable.
You'd probably welcome a fart.
Yeah, right?
Just fart and go, oh, thank God.
But they had perfumes back then. But when you think about it, they're just mixing perfume with stink.
Yeah, you're not washing anything off. It's like spraying air freshener in a gas station bathroom. It's not going to do too much.
It's not going to do too much. It really, really isn't. And that's the thing. Like when you'd go down to the river to wash off, like how good was that doing?
Yeah, that's river water. I mean, it's not really the cleanest water.
Yeah.
I'm sure people pee in it and stuff.
Yeah. And you don't have like when did people start washing themselves with Going to
Soap. I'm
Google.
sure 1800s. Got to be mid 1800s. Maybe a little even earlier.
Guess in the comments. Shoot a tweet out before we get to the answer. Would you say 1800s? Do you have an
I'll
opinion on
say
this?
I'll go 1843.
1883?
43.
1843? My wife says they've been doing it for a long time.
Soap? Like soap that everybody had?
All right, I just find this interesting. I just put in when did people, I didn't get to the soap part yet, and the first three Google suggestions are when did people start brushing their teeth? When did people start celebrating Christmas? And when did people start smoking weed?
What the hell have you been searching?
I don't know. I don't know, but that's a wide variety of topics. Brushing your teeth, smoking weed, and Christmas.
That's one hell of a day. That's
Oh
one
my
hell of a
God.
December 25th.
Wait.
What?
What was your guess, Frank? 1843?
Yeah. Well, it's probably like 1219 or something.
How about 2800 BC?
They had soap in 2800 BC.
Yeah, my wife just
I didn't
said.
see that coming. I didn't see that coming at all. I'm talking about like soap was made. You know, people had it maybe a little bit here and there, but not everybody had it. It wasn't a widely used thing. Was that?
The first concrete evidence we have of soap-like substances date back to 2800 BC. The first soap makers were the Babylonians, Mesopotamians, Egyptians, as well as the ancient Greeks and Romans.
Hey,
Oh,
you know what? I just got a little bit more faith in humanity.
here's a tip for Frank and anybody else who winds up on Jeopardy. All of them made soap by mixing fat, oils, and salts.
And salt,
Yep, fat, oil, and salts.
I guess.
Who
saw that potential.
I'll never forget this though. When we were at what's the museum in Central Park? Modern Art? No. History?
No, yeah, the Metropolitan Museum of Art
Metropolitan Museum of Art. They had an exhibit where
natural history.
Or natural history. I think it was natural history. The Romans, they had this system of, when they would bring water down into their cities.
Oh, aqueducts and stuff.
Right. So they would take the water because as it was moving, it would cool, and they would run it into a room and run it all around the room and back out because they found that it actually cooled the room down. So that was the first form of air conditioning way back in the day. They would just run cool water around the room, cool it all down.
There were some smart people out there, man. Smarter than I gave them credit for. I thought we were only 200 years into this soap stuff.
But it just goes to show they were worried about stank. People were like, I can't stand this stench anymore. We got to figure out a way to cool this room down. I'm telling you right now, everybody stop what you're doing. Let's figure this out.
That's what, if I would, I'd be like, just fill the room with flowers and cold water. And just leave me alone. It'll smell nice. I'll be cool. Yeah, there's no TV, but I'll be all right.
1843.
Well, what was your guess? You didn't even give a guess. You were thinking the same thing. You were in the 1800s with me as well.
I was not. I would have had a much more accurate guess, Frank.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
ludicrous.
All right, good. I'm sorry, but I don't see soldiers in the Crusades carrying soap around with them.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't visualize that, but I guess they did. Who knows?
I'm sure it was hard to come by at times that people would be like, oh, Jesus, this guy.
Hey, chewing gum. You know what old chewing gum is? Chewing gum has been around forever. It's like a natural thing on trees. People just chew it. Just scrape it off of trees and chew.
Well, there you go, Hero Soap Company. So, but I think the moral of the story is it took us from 2800 BC to 2020 to finally get to a place where we've mastered soap. That's the difference. That's the moral.
You see, we've done it.
That's the
takeaway.
Pinnacle. That's where we're at.
It took us that long to figure out that selling soap could actually help the troops. It took us, 4,800 years?
By the way, just because my own curiosity, I'm sure people are going crazy. 3000 BC was when the ancient Egyptians constructed a crude toothbrush from twigs and leaves to clean their teeth.
Hey.
There you go.
I'm in. They got... They know what they were doing back then. They weren't as behind the times as we think. I
There you
guess.
go. So this has been a very knowledge enriching episode for sure.
The more you know.
Let's talk about bloom doo doo doo. Let's talk about Armie Hammer. The other day we talked about this, and we fully came out and said, because we don't want to be sued, that this was probably a false story and made up. And we read you some DMs from people that were like, he was like telling people like, I want to eat you, and that
Drink your blood and
and that he
hold
killed
your heart in my hand and control the beats.
that. Yep. Wow, this really
That was
stuck
one
with
of
you,
them.
Frank. This really spoke to you.
This gave me nightmares for the last 2 nights. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, so that's basically the Armie Hammer story, and I think we left with, this is probably BS, but it's like a fun thing to talk about, so we talked about it. And then he was supposed to do this movie with J-Lo, and he pulled out of the movie. And when I read that headline, I said to wait, there's more. There's more. But when I read that headline, I go, well, I'll tell you what, feels like there's a little fire where that smoke is, because what he said, his quote was, this is all BS and blah, blah, blah. And I can't believe I even have to respond to this. And then it was also like, I'm just not going to do the movie. And it's kind of like, yeah, but why wouldn't you do the movie if it was all BS?
Well, maybe he didn't want to bring any negative attention to a movie that he's not, he would be any negative,
Bull.
like if people didn't see the movie because he's in it, would be negative on everybody who worked in the movie. So maybe it was more of a selfless thing.
Bull.
Like, I don't want to bring any negativity towards this movie, so I'll pull away from it.
There are people in the movie industry, they're called publicists, that their whole entire sole purpose is to come up with exactly this. What could we drum up about these celebrities that people will read so that they know, oh, they have a movie coming out? So that is...
but this is not really the most positive thing to come out.
No, it's not, but it's like controversial and people can't prove it and blah, blah, blah and whatever. So that was yesterday that he pulled out of the movie. When was the episode that we talked about? Wednesday? We talked about this?
Wednesday, yeah.
Okay, so Wednesday's episode, we talked about this. Thursday, he pulls out of the movie. Here we are on Friday now, and the story is Armie Hammer's last ex-girlfriend says that their romance was like dating a wannabe Hannibal Lecter. Not a great start.
That does not bode well for Armie Hammer.
Yeah, not a great start for Armie Hammer. As the Hollywood star's idea of pillow talk was fantasizing about which of her body parts he'd like to roast and devour.
I just realized he has the words arm and ham in his name.
Also true. Also,
just putting that out there.
Possible body parts.
Make of that what you will.
Yeah. She told Page 6, he said to me he wants to break my rib and barbecue and eat it.
Now, is this the same person in the DMs?
It's the same. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is the same person.
No. The girl.
This
no.
New person.
This is a new person. The girl in the DMs, everybody thought she was lying. One person kind of said she was lying. I think it was like several DMs came out from people. This is this young lady. I think she's an actress. I don't know. Her name is Courtney Vuskovic. Vucekovich.
No idea what that is.
I don't know who that is either, but they make it seem like she's someone of note. So she's probably been in something that I haven't seen. Now, let me stop right there before I go any further. Gather the room's opinion here. Please, in the comments below or on Twitter if you're listening on the podcast. Is this guy, does he have a thing, or is he just really bad at dirty talk?
He could be bad at dirty talk. I mean, he's... Oh, man.
Or is he doing the thing where, like, remember in Along Came Polly when he's like, just give it a little tap, but he's telling her to smack her rear end. He's like, just give it a little tap. Is he just floating this out there because it's like kind of out of left field and dirty and bizarre? But let me just give it a little. Let me just introduce the.
There's a difference between
thing.
A tap on the hiney and saying, "I want to barbecue your ribs."
No, there
There's
is,
a huge leap.
but there I agree. But my point is he just introduce? Is he just let me put
If you
this.
want to introduce something like that, you start with like I would imagine that he should start with something like lick your ears or your fingers or something, not barbecue your ribs.
Right.
That's like final step.
And that's a big leap from like because I feel like, and again, I'm happy to admit when I got something weird going on. I don't think I have anything weird in this case, but I feel like the term like "you look so delicious, I could eat you." That's kind of more of like that introductory like I got a weird cannibal thing. Let me throw this line out here to people and see
Did he
what they.
start with that?
No, I think he started with I
He
want to
started with, "I want to literally barbecue you and eat you."
break your rib and eat it. That's very barbecue and eat it. Sorry.
Were they eating ribs at the time? And he was out and he looked over at her plate and said, "I want your ribs. I want to break your ribs and eat them."
No. She says she thought to herself, "Damn, that was weird." But she didn't think about it again. She said of overlooking the odd behavior at the time.
Did she check his freezer?
Right? That's just like but here see if a girl
Guy
sent
like that's got more than one freezer too. I can tell you that.
yeah, he does.
There's a freezer in his basement,
Shout out Italian moms, basically. Yeah.
right?
Um,
Or cannibals, either way.
or cannibals. That's kind of weird. Italian moms and cannibals are the only ones that are going to have that little garage freezer going on.
That's why there's plastic all over the furniture.
There you go. You never know.
Evidence just wipes clean.
Exactly. Exactly. I just think it's like if somebody said that to me, like I want to break your rib and barbecue it and eat it, I'm telling every friend that I know. Like
That is a red flag.
that's going in the group chat. Like you know what this person said. Like and at what point in the relationship do you start to introduce this kind of weird odd discussion?
Not right away. That's a ease into that kind of thing. If it's 100% just trying to be weird and dirty, fine. And if you're both on the same page, and it's just dirty talk, it's batshit dirty talk.
Yeah.
But hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But if one party is not, you know, getting into that, it's time to shut it down.
Let's talk about in general. Like, at what point in the relationship do you introduce your little kink? You got to do it early, I feel, because then there's no point. What's the point of continuing?
I think it depends on what it is, and then it's got to be something that you. I can't believe that you would have to like just go, "Here's my kink."
I'm sure some
probably
people
have
do
to
though.
just subtly drop hints.
No, I'm sure some people do. Again, if you're like, oh, I got a little toe thing, or I like to get smacked, or throw a little hand around my
Right. The
throat.
little things like that. I don't think it's but if it's like I want to be tied up and whipped or something, that's something you might want to like
You think that's
drop
the line?
tiny hints about. I wouldn't come out of the gate like that.
Yeah, that's
I
weird.
wouldn't go, unless you're like in a place that you're around people that are into that stuff and that's what they're into. But if you're just with someone for the first time, and I don't think you drop that ball. You just you go with what you're doing. Maybe you introduce something, little hints here and there. See how she reacts. See how he reacts, and you go from there. But I wouldn't just drop the Armie Hammer on her.
I can't believe what I just read.
Uh-oh.
I didn't.
Breaking. This is rib breaking news.
I didn't read this whole thing. I was just like, when I read the headline, I'm like, this is what we're talking about, and I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh God, I can't even imagine what you just read.
He would
see
say
your face like that.
He would say to her, "I want to take a bite out of you." All right, okay.
Yeah, that's what we've heard.
She says, and I quote, "If I had a little cut on my hand, he'd like suck it or lick it."
That's That's something. That's not. That's something. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. That's different.
You have two people that make a living talking, going, I don't know how to say. I have
Hey,
nothing to say.
what's on the ceiling here? I can't even. I don't know what to look at when I have to talk about this.
That
What the hell?
that's when you break. That's what like if you
Way to
cut.
bury the lead.
Could you imagine cutting yourself and your significant other runs over and starts licking it? What the f?
I mean, but there are people that like pop other people's pimples. Is that any? Is that the same? That's not the
That's
same thing.
weird. No, that's weird. But I feel that's more common. I feel like
Yeah,
than
a lot more people do that. That's more of a thing.
that's
But yeah, the
yeah.
blood thing. Mm-mm.
By the way, the blunt thing after the rib comment and the I want to take a bite out of you comment.
Yeah,
Like,
you put them all together. It's not a good not a good menu on the Armie Hammer restaurant. I'm
uh,
not dining there anytime soon.
yeah.
That's There's something there. In the comments, you got to tell us, what do you think of all this? I mean, is this normal? Are people doing this,
No, this is
or is
not.
this out of you know, who wrote Bram Stoker? Is this some Bram Stoker stuff?
Maybe he's a vampire.
I could have sworn I seen him in the daytime.
Yeah, no, good point. We have seen him in the daytime. Yeah. That
Then again,
is
that's all movie magic. Who the hell knows?
that is just like I can't even imagine. Like not like even say that he actually would go and lick her blood. That is very strange.
I mean, at least, at the very least, if I could take anything positive out of this, at least he didn't cause the cut. You know, he didn't make her bleed.
Yeah, just
No, I'm trying.
yeah.
No,
I know
no,
you're trying. I can see it's
I'm
very
trying to.
honorable.
I'm
Very
trying to put
honorable.
maybe a small positive spin on this, but no. Okay, all right.
It's
I
very
tried to give him
honorable.
the benefit of the doubt, but it's not working.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what you just did there. But yeah, I
No,
don't.
there's no coming out of this.
Yeah.
So this is the previous one that said this.
Yeah, this is the ex girlfriend. She also said, well, I let me go back. Uh, I don't think we read this one in one of the leaked DMs, not from this girl, that he allegedly asked a partner if he could cut off one of her toes and keep it with him in his pocket. So he always had a piece of her in his possession. Um, the ex-girlfriend now who dated him from June to August, June, July, yeah, that's about 3 months is about is like, okay, I got to get out. I got to get out of this. I got to get out of this weird cannibal
Three
guy's.
months. I say as soon as the toe thing comes up, gone.
She couldn't confirm whether
Boom.
those DMs were legitimate, but she
Yeah, why
said
would she?
they're
Why
no
would she?
surprise.
Keeping someone's toe.
She
I mean,
says,
unless you're going on Let's Make a Deal, and they say, all right, who's got lipstick, rouge in their purse, and someone's toe? That's the only way having a toe on you is good.
she says he likes the idea of skin in his teeth.
Come on.
She spoke following a divorce filing by Hammer's estranged wife, Elizabeth Chambers, telling Page Six that her relationship with Hammer was not only weird, but gross and also emotionally abusive.
I feel emotionally abused.
He enters your life in such a big way. He's such a captivating person. He has such a presence, and he's aware of that. And he uses it in such a way that most women would think, oh my gosh, this is amazing, especially young women. But that's kind of the scary part. How good he is at active manipulation and making you feel like he's never felt this way about anybody.
So that's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, see,
That's where it becomes abusive and wrong and terrible.
that's why I said that the quitting the movie was a That's a flare. That's a big signal to me. Like there's no reason for you to if this is
Well, what was the
BS.
movie? What I mean, if the movie, what if the
He
movie
was a
is like
vampire.
he's a vampire or some kind of like a zombie or something?
It was a Hannibal Lecter remake. It was like, oh, you can't. Maybe it's too close. It's hitting too
It could
close.
be a zombie eating brains and stuff. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah. But I mean, he just, here's a shot. Here's a shot at him at what was the what was that hotel that Jack Nicholson got stuck in? The little,
Oh no, no, no.
doesn't that look
The
like the home?
Overlook.
The Overlook.
Oh God.
Yeah, there he is in the Overlook Hotel. He just looks like the kind of guy that would. He looks rich. He looks like he's like obviously he's a good looking guy. He's an actor. All this stuff. He just looks like the kind of guy that like hunts human beings for sport. Like he looks like what's that book that we read in high school where there was like the guy like hunted people for sport. It was like real people. It was a famous book. No, drawing a blank.
No, not ringing a bell.
Yeah, it was like I remember reading that book in high school. It was like the guy was like bored and he would like invite people to the island, and then you get to the island and you realize that you're being hunted and all of the rich friends are like hunting them and
Yeah, no, it sounds familiar. The story sounds familiar, but I can't place the name.
the most dangerous game. Thank you,
Okay.
Cuddles. Cuddles got it. The most dangerous game.
Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah, no, that's been in a lot of like movies and stuff. There's stuff like that, but
Like his
yeah, he
face is
looks like
chiseled out of
that
the
type.
most dangerous game mold. Like you could just be like, oh, that guy definitely hunts people for a
Yeah.
living.
If you put 30 people in a room and I had to pick the guy that hunts people,
Yeah, that's him.
bingo.
Like he looks down on the how we all look down on like the hunters that like kill the beautiful elephants and the rare animals for sport, and they say he like looks down on them for like I would never waste my time on a big dumb animal. I only hunt human beings and then eat them later on, like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I feel like a few more days and there's going to be a raid on his house or
That's
something.
what I'm saying. Like
This is
like guess what, everybody? Take a look around. You know where we are at the beginning of this story. Like this is not something that I don't think is going to
doesn't
go
get better
away
from here.
Yeah, like
I mean, the only way this gets better is if like 50 ex-girlfriends come forward and say, "No, this has never happened to me. I don't know what these two are talking about. These two are known liars. They're crazy.
yeah.
Armie Hammer's been nothing but a gentleman. They look at his house and there's nothing that there's no. I don't know, man.
How do you
This is
even
rough.
like we've asked this question before, like how you get some of these fetishes? Like how do you get that one? Like what went wrong in those formative years that all of a sudden that was your thing? Like
I'm sure thousands of psychiatrists would love to know the answer to that.
yeah.
They spend decades trying to figure out what people's stuff that happened, triggers and stuff like that. I don't know if we'd ever find that out.
I'd love to get Dr. Melfi in on this, to be honest with you. That's the thing.
She'd be good.
I think she could handle it. And you know what? Just to be fair, like, cause let's again, we're not here to like ruin anybody's life. Bella Thorne came to Armie Hammer's defense. She said that those screenshots were fake. I guess she dated him at some point, and she's like, none of this is really true. But
Who knows? Yeah, I guess. Well, it's all speculation. There's two people.
yeah,
One has DMs, which God knows if they're real. The other one is just saying that this stuff happened with no proof.
yeah.
So it was really, we don't. This is all alleged. We don't know if any of this is true. This is just the story that's out there. We have no idea if it's true, and at this point, very few do.
His statement was, "I'm not responding to these BS claims, but in light of the vicious and spurious online attacks against me, I cannot in good conscience now leave my children for 4 months to shoot a film in the Dominican Republic. Lionsgate is supporting me in this, and I'm grateful to them for that." Like,
But that's not terrible.
I'm not saying that he's got vicious attacks, but I feel like most people on Twitter were just kind of like goofing like this. Like, you believe how crazy this is? Like, and that was really it. Like, I don't think anybody was like chasing his kids down or any crazy
Well, how do
stuff
you
like
know?
that.
I mean, not for nothing, but 2 days go by and now there's another woman. So maybe who knows if 4 months away from his kids, I don't know how old his kids are, but if they, people in school, who knows?
Who knows? I don't know. Feels like.
They might hear some stuff, and if their dad's not there to explain it, they freak out. The
I
kids.
mean, I guess so. I guess so. Just
If your
feels.
kids heard something weird about you and you were gone for 4 months, you'd want to be there to set them straight.
Mm, I guess so. I
I
don't
don't.
know. It's hard to
If he's
tell what my
innocent, I don't
kids.
blame him for this.
It's hard
That's
to
the
tell what
pitch in
my
the
kids
movie.
think about me. To be honest with you, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
I
sure
think we all know.
I'm lying to them. I'm like, Dad's the greatest. I just feed them all this stuff with the hope that they'll repeat it back to
And
me.
they say, "Who the hell is this dad person?"
Yeah, but basically, for the most part, they're like,
I'm
"Who are
waiting for that
you?"
greatest dad to walk in.
I do when I come home and see my kids. I go, "Have there been any other dads here today?" Like, be honest with me. Like, tell me if did mommy have any other friends around?
They're your little Zoom cameras.
Exactly. Oh, and that, yeah.
Tell me what you saw today.
Especially my little girl. She gives me the full rundown on everything. Here's the thing with her, though. She'll make up stuff that didn't happen, but she won't forget to include anything that did happen. So that's...
Yeah, but she's not a reliable source, that means.
reliable enough. Up there in Canada, they're losing their minds. I love this story so much, Frank. They imposed some restrictions because of the pandemic, obviously, what's going on. And they're putting people in on a curfew up in Quebec. Oh, we got that curfew there, eh? You got to be in the house there at 8 o'clock there, eh?
Listen, hoser. And we're not making fun of the Canadians. We love Canadians. I love Canada.
Well, here's the thing
Lovely
about this.
place.
They tell Quebec, they go like this. They go, look, everybody's got to be home at 8 o'clock because we got to stop the spread. And literally 99.9% of Canada goes, oh, the puck drops there at 7, eh? We'll be at home anyway watching the game. I'm not going to be outside and miss the game, you know?
Sun sets at 2 p.m. I'm inside.
Exactly. They're literally like, this is the dumbest thing ever because everybody's home watching the hockey game eating poutine. So I don't know what you're talking about.
It's freezing. Once the sun sets, it's freezing. Nobody wants to be on the street anyway.
That's true.
Who the hell's outside?
The coldest in my life I've ever been was walking around Toronto at like 9 o'clock at night.
We were the only two idiots on the street because we were from America and didn't know any better. We're walking around Toronto like, where is everybody? We could literally hear our whispers echoing throughout the buildings. And we're looking for people. Like, this is, I feel like they're filming a movie on this street. What's going on?
Frank is not making this up. We legitimately, there was nobody. And we kept saying to ours, because we grew up in New York City, and there is never a time where you're on a city street alone. Maybe one block you get lucky, but you keep going, and you're going to walk into, there's going to be somebody around somewhere.
This was ghost town. But it was snowing. It was freezing. So the smart people from Canada, people who live there, are inside, staying warm. We two idiots were outside, freezing our asses off, looking for something to do.
We get there, we walk around Toronto, we were like freezing. We went to a restaurant, and there were people in the restaurant. And I don't know if somebody said something to us or whatever it was, but after that we realized that they've built an entire underground tunnel system in Toronto, and that's where everybody was walking around to get to where they needed to go.
They know what they're doing. Where's that meme of that guy going like that?
Yeah. So anyway, up there in Canada, they said, look, you can't be out past 8 to 5 a.m. curfew, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew. So this 24-year-old was out, and the police go up to her, and she goes, I'm just out, walking my dog. They go, look, the dog's her husband. So they were like, there's a curfew, yes, but you could obviously go out and walk your dog. They're not, telling everybody you can't go walk your dog. So she thought, oh, I know. I'll put my husband on a leash, and I'll walk him around, and that's how we'll get around this curfew.
So she was trying to get around the curfew, she wasn't trying to do some weird kink thing. This wasn't her treating her.
I don't know.
partner as a dog, putting him on a leash and stuff.
Frank might have been a little column A, a little column B. You know, if you could be defiant and get that kink in there as well, that makes it all the more
better than eating their toes or whatever. Which would fall off from Frostbite anyway.
No kidding. Listen to this. She's 24. The hubby, 40. So a little bit of an age difference there. Good for them. They were not named, but they were fined $1,217 for the violation.
That's a weird number.
That is a weird number. Yeah. That is a bizarre number.
What is that in dollars, eh?
Well, I think that's about $4.50 there, eh? A little bit of an exchange difference.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Let's go over to what's that donut place?
Tim Hortons?
Tim Hortons, eh?
Get some donut holes there at Tim Hortons. Make that happen.
Yeah, this is us trying to do Canadian accents. We're not that good.
You can make fun of Canadians, and they're okay with it.
Can we do that?
Yeah, they're fine with it. Some of them might get.
Love you guys.
But it's like vegetarians too. You can say the most horrible things about vegetarians. They're just like whatever. People like,
yeah, why is that? Why can we get away with that?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But
shrub munching weirdos.
But here's the thing: you can't get out of a ticket because the cops. You know, like how you get like a cop on like a holiday, like when everybody's off, and you get caught for like speeding on July 4th. It's like you're getting that ticket because they're pissed they're not at the barbecue. The Canadian cops, they're pissed they're not watching the game, so they're like, you know. They're like, oh, the Leafs are on the power play. Yeah, I was trying to have my donut hole and watch my Leafs on the power play, and now I got to be out here. Write you a ticket. You know,
it's true. Yeah, they got a point there. They're out in the cold once, nighttime. Can you be in your car when there's a curfew? Can you like drive somewhere?
I think you got to be in your home. I think they say in your home.
So you can't take your car and go to someone else's home.
Yeah, because if you're out, if you're driving, I don't know.
Driving is no good.
I guess the driving is no good.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's all just to curb people from like going to restaurants and bars and places where you would mingle and.
Can you ride your moose somewhere? You're in Canada, so.
All right, now I want to apologize to all the Canadians.
That's the line. That was the line. Moose. Moose. That's everything else before that was fine.
Hey, hurry up and write them summons. We got to go get there's two moose fighting over on the other street there. We got to get it. You ever see that video? That's why I love Canadians. Every like 3 months or so, they'll just post a video of two gigantic moose just pounding.
Things will mess you up, man.
Those my God. Huge. You see those things?
They're like prehistoric friggin' beasts just running there.
Yeah.
So like something out of like Greek mythology, just slamming heads together.
There's only two things that'll stop me in my tracks. Those moose videos from Canada and those alligator videos from Florida. Those are the only two things where I'll just be like, would you just look at the size of this?
There's a video of I think it's a guy in Florida. It's got to be Florida. There's a guy, he's outside his house. He hears something in his sewer. He just takes the camera, goes to the sewer, and it's like one of those, the It movie sewers where you could like fit a body through.
Movie sewers.
Yeah. And there's just a friggin', it had to be like a 15-foot alligator. Just, you could see its eye, it's just staring right at the camera. And it's just, you could hear it growling.
My God.
And it's right under his house. A gigantic friggin' alligator in his sewer under his house. Move.
Yeah. I'll never forget this. I went to my cousin's and he was like, yeah, stay in the garage. He was like, oh, stay in the garage. He's like, I'm going to close the garage door. I'm like, why? He's like, oh, alligators. I'm like, will you stop? He's like, no, man. He's like, and he goes, my neighbor, the alligator snuck into the garage, wound up like burrowing under something, and he was just in there. And they didn't even know. So he was like walking around cleaning stuff, and then boom, the thing just like hopped out on him. I'm like, I cannot be comfortable. I was like 12. I was like, I cannot. I was just looking at I was just like, snapping all around. Like, because I was freaked out. I was panicked.
Yeah, I have no problem seeing alligators like in, behind fences and zoos and far away from me. But in my garage, I got freaked out when there was a possum on my baker's rack over here.
I remember that.
I stayed up with the flashlight on them just for 4 hours. Like, I'm not moving. I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah, I'll never forget this. I went to Arizona once, and you go and you do these stupid things, but my parents, like, they were like, we went on this like tour, and this was like pre-internet, so you didn't really know, but people, like we saw like a sign somewhere or in the AAA book, whatever. It's like this blah 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 tour of the Grand Canyon. We see this guy, and he is like, Curly from City Slickers,
City Slickers, sure.
just weathered face, just like this guy is like the legit,
The real deal.
yeah. And I'm like, and I didn't even want to get in the car because I'm like, give me the Disney World tour, like give me the like fun, like I don't want to But he told the story.
The 25-year-old that doesn't give a shit just driving me there. That's what I would eat.
That's what I exactly. That's what I want. But he told the story, and I never forgot it. He was camping, and this just goes to show you how legit this dude was. He was camping one night. He goes, "You see that spot over there? I was camping over there. Like 10 feet away from him were a pack of coyotes. A pack." And
how many to a pack? 20? 10?
I don't know, but he said that a lot of them left, and one stuck around, and one it just stared at him the whole night, and he just looked back. And I go, "So where did you go to sleep?" And he goes, "No, I slept there." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "We just looked at each other." He goes, I tried to make him feel calm, like I wasn't going to go for him." He goes, "I felt like he was doing the same thing." He goes, "And we just, we spent the night like 20, 30 feet apart. It was just a coyote there, me here." And he goes, "I just, slept at my camp." I was like, what the hell? Like, can you now he could have been totally lying, but
I don't know if I would be as terrified.
Dude, in like
coyotes.
Jersey, coyotes come and just like eat, like you can't leave a dog out. They'll just destroy a dog.
A dog. I don't know. Do they go after full-grown people?
You want to try? You want to
Maybe,
find out?
I don't know. I wouldn't run that risk. That's true. That's a good point. But you know what? I don't know how that works because I'm sure the guy knew what he was doing. But one lesson I learned the hard way was do not stare at a dog. I don't know if coyotes are different, but I was at a jewelry store once. I was a kid. I went in there with my mom or my dad. I don't even remember. I think it was my dad. I went in there and they had this Rottweiler behind the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a kid. I had no idea. And I like dogs. And I was just looking at him. And for some reason, he just locked on to me. So I was like, all right, staring contest. Not a good idea.
He got mad?
Literally in 5 seconds of that staring contest, he lunged at me. I mean, he was behind the counter. The counter was like up to here on me at the time.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't make it over the counter. The owner grabbed him by the collar. Otherwise, this thing was... like, "Frank, what'd you do?" I was like, I just looked at him. I was looking in his eyes.
Oh my
God. Don't stare down a dog.
I try and stay away from everything. Yeah. Like I don't even. Yeah. Well, that's a good. At least it didn't get you.
Good lesson learned. Yeah.
But that's like, do you see that golfer who there was like a huge alligator on the course and he just went over and slapped the alligator on the rear end and the alligator scurried? Like, how did he know to do that? Like, how did he know that was going to be okay?
I don't know, man. I take a drop. There's no way. I'll hit on the other side of the course. Thank you.
So my rule is, unless you're at a Six Flags or Disney World, don't even bother getting anywhere near close to any of these animals. Like that is
Disney World isn't even safe, man.
Yeah.
There was alligators there too. They got a hold of that kid a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that wasn't at one of their exhibits. That was like at the.
It was on the resort.
It was on the resort though. Yeah, that was pretty sad.
Messed up, man.
Yeah, that was really sad. Let me see what else. Anything else for this episode?
I mean, there's a couple other things. I don't know if you want to get into them. There's
the My Pillow, the My Pillow guy.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't, nothing against either side of politics, but the fact that the My Pillow guy had a meeting in the White House in the Oval Office today and had a notes, and in his notes typed out were some words to the effect of I don't want to get this wrong, but the My Pillow guy was at the White House. He had like a 5-minute meeting with Trump, and some of the words,
by the way, is
national security. What
is this? I feel like in the days at the end of an administration and in the first couple of days, more important meeting the president than like if you're in there and at the 2.5 year mark, it's kind of like
Yeah, if you're in there in a 2.5 year mark and you want to sit down with the My Pillow guy, talk to whoever you want.
No, I'm talking about the person getting invited. Like I'm saying, like if you get invited to the White House to meet the president, obviously it's a big deal. But if you get invited to the White House when there's only like 20 days left, I feel like that's a huge deal. Like when you're on the
There's
finale
like
tour.
6 days left.
Oh, 6 days. Well, what you get my point. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like, fine. He wants to see the My Pillow guy, have a 5-minute chat with him. Whatever. Do what you want. However, some cameraman got a glimpse and caught a photo of the My Pillow guy's notes.
Mm-hmm.
He had a sheet in front of him, and some of the words on these notes were martial law was written on there. Martial law if necessary. Move Kash Patel to acting CIA was another line in there. Why is the president talking to the My Pillow guy about CIA moves and martial law?
He should be the pillow guy.
Insurrection Act.
He should be the come on in, take a look at the Lincoln bedroom, and like, what can we do here with the pillow situation in here?
Exactly.
Can we up this?
Can you furnish the whole White House with My Pillows?
Yeah.
That should be the extent of these interviews with this guy.
But you know what, though? We let Kanye in, talk all kinds of crazy. Kim Kardashian got to go in there and do her whole thing, which actually turned out to be great. But, so we got to kind of, you got to be fair to everybody. Well, let My Pillow guy come in and do his thing.
Yeah, but he's talking about martial law and stuff. I guess I didn't realize. Yeah, you're right. Celebrities come in and out of there all the time. But the My Pillow guy?
It's not his first time. They're like super close, I think, those two, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
He's been there a bunch.
That's true. But I feel like you go there, if you go in there with like hey, I have an agenda. I want to stop this injustice like Kanye and Kim Kardashian did. Great. But if you're talking about moves within the CIA and martial law and the Insurrection Act, I mean, this is not, I feel, maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know about this kind of stuff. But I don't feel like the My Pillow guy isn't the first guy you go to this stuff.
But I think that this is more common than you probably think.
Probably. Again, yeah. I could be way off.
So, by the way, My Pillow guy confirmed that he had a meeting with Trump today. He said it was 5 minutes. He said he offered evidence on what he described as election fraud, but he said that it did not contain the words martial law, whatever. But he said that Trump told him to hand the materials to White House aides. Now, isn't that like when you go to hand the president something and he goes, "Oh yeah, cool. Go give that over to Jeremy over there." Like you got to kind of feel like, damn it.
Yeah, that's I want nothing to do with whatever you're talking about.
Like that's the way Ringo felt when he's like, "Hey everybody, I wrote a song," and they're like, "Oh, cool."
Like bravo.
Give it over to Jeremy. Over
there. He's like, "You know who we are, right?" I wrote a song.
But I think so. I grew very close to these two guys who opened up a brewery over by my house, and we've known each other for a really, really long time. And one of the guys, he said to me, he goes, we were talking about like radio stuff, and I was telling him like some of the things that we get all the time.
Give
like
him the sponsor. No, I'm sorry. What?
Some of the things that we get like are cliched questions, and like he was saying, he was like, I can't go anywhere, and this was like 5 years ago. He's like, I can't go anywhere without people going, oh, you know what kind of beer you should make, or like what you should put in your beer, or So I would imagine that if you're the president of the United States, you get that like a billion-fold, where it's like,
I'm sure
somebody wants to come in and talk to you or whatever.
But there are people that run interference for that kind of stuff.
There should be
people.
Yeah, there should be.
Someone to like take the smaller, lower level meetings. Someone to answer the phone.
Yeah.
When nut jobs call.
But is it at this point in the presidency? Are they at like crunch time where it's like we got to get this stuff done, or is it like senior year where we're like, oh, who's here? The My Pillow guy. Yeah, bring him on in. Come on. Like
that's probably what it is. It's senior year.
Yeah,
it's got a few days left. What is
Screw it.
What's on the agenda? My Pillow guy.
Here's my
What the
pillow
hell?
guy walking out of the White House. I'm surprised he doesn't have a chair with him. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm surprised.
While you're on your way out, can you grab this painting?
Grab this, yeah. Like, hey, can I get this vase? Is anybody gonna miss this if I take this vase right
Putting
now?
it, Trump's putting his label, his name on everything. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna take this. Take
You don't
this.
get to take
The light.
anything with you, do you? Like, you should be able to take.
No,
I feel like you should be able to take one thing. If you're the president, you should be able to be like, you know
it's
what?
not your stuff.
I know, but like I'm not saying like, oh,
They
I'm
give
gonna.
you things like you have, I'm sure, a presidential, you know, like I'm sure you have like pens and robes and
Not,
pajamas and shit. But
I'm saying one historical item. This is what I'm saying. I think we have a list of historical things that cannot be taken. But I think we could probably go and figure out, like, here's category B where, yeah, all right, if a president wants to take this thing with him, they could take that with him. Like
how many things are in the White House? It'd be empty, you know. Well, one thing every few
come on.
years isn't too bad.
Like the floor mat that was outside the White House when Kennedy was there, like stuff like that. Like I feel like you should be able to like take that stuff. You know what I mean? I just feel like
Yes.
I feel like as because I don't think that they're allowed to take anything, but I feel like as president you should be able to be like, well, you should get to take one thing with you.
You could the presidents get enough when they leave. They get all security detail for the rest of their lives. They get I don't know what the salary is when they leave, but I'm sure they get a salary after they leave.
Yeah, they get a pension.
Pension.
Yeah.
They're doing fine. They don't need you the floor mat from outside the White House.
Like I'm saying, like what you hear, like actors all the time go, "Oh, you're not allowed to take stuff off the set," but somebody sneaks like something off, or somebody takes like a wardrobe with them. I feel like you should be able to do that if you're the president. You should be able to be like that. I want to take that thing. Like that's coming with me. Like the paper towel holder that Gerald Ford put in. I'm taking the paper towel holder. That's coming with me. It's going in the house.
That's a relic, man. You can't touch that stuff.
Yeah, and plus it always makes for a great story, like when you get to tell things later on and be like, you know what the president took from the White House? He took so and so's blah blah blah. Like you like, oh, I wonder why he did that.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be better like to see it there in the White House and go, this is Roosevelt's toilet paper holder?
Yeah, but that's what I'm so. But here's my point, though. You think about all the items a president interacts with, and it's just we've only had 45 of them. We're on president 46. Like there's probably hundreds of thousands of items that are being archived and put away and saved, and like we've only had 45 dudes. Like I think you can, like I would say, president and vice president get to take whatever they want out of the joint. You know what I mean? Like that's your perk.
There's got to be a limit. Like you can't take the picture of like Kennedy or you can't take presidential portraits or something.
That's what I'm
little
saying.
Things.
You got to know. You get a protection list where you can't touch these things, but these other little things, no big deal if somebody will. I bet you there is a thing like that. There's got to be.
There probably is. I'm sure they get to take something, or hey, I use this thing every day, maybe it's like the ink blotter, or who the hell cares,
Yeah. My most prized possession, I still feel uncomfortable about it today, Frank.
What'd you steal?
I didn't steal this. I worked for CBS FM in this city where Cousin Brucey was and all these, legendary radio stations.
Okay, here you go.
And when I worked there, so at some point in the history of CBS FM, New York City decided that they were going to rename a street in Manhattan CBS FM Way in honor of CBS FM. They made two signs. One is actually legitimately hanging on the street.
No.
And another one they gave to the radio station. So they had it in the office. And I would comment on it all the time about how much I loved it and how cool. I thought it was so cool that there was a street named after them, because that was always like my thing. Like I wanted a street named after me.
And this story isn't going to end with you stealing this thing.
Swear to God, I get another radio job. I give my notice. On the last day, I'm like packing all my stuff. One of the nicest people ever, Maria, who... At a certain point, if you don't know the story of CBS FM, is this legendary radio station They changed it for like a year and a half. The year and a half that I was there, it was the biggest mistake in radio history. It was just an awful
That was
experience.
awful.
And they put CBS FM on the internet. This is back when internet stuff was bad or considered a step down. And they had this other radio station on the airwaves. And while that was happening, there was a group of 2 or 3 people that like literally what's the word I'm looking for? They championed CBS FM still on the internet. And they picked the music for it, and they did contests, and people loved it, and they became sort of the stewards of the brand. And then when they brought the brand back, and they were kind of elevated and everything, and it was really, really nice. But long story short, so one of the people that was basically like the keeper of the brand while the company didn't care, she turned around and said to me, "I want you to have this." And I was like, "I cannot take this." And she was like, "You are the only," she literally looked at me like, "You're the only person who cares about this." but she said to me, she goes, "There are only 2 of these in the world." I said to her, I go, I'm not worthy of, like, I cannot.
Do you know the street? What street it is?
It's right by Radio City. I forget what it is. It's in the 50s.
6th Avenue.
Between like 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th. Yeah, I forget where it is. If you look it up, it's there. But I still have it to this day, and I have it, and I just love the fact that because you know what she said to me? She goes, "If you don't take this," she goes, "you'll at least treasure it. If you don't take it, it's just gonna get thrown into storage, and it's gonna get lost somewhere."
That's sad.
Or somebody else is gonna take it. She goes, "It's gonna mean nothing, and it's gonna be gone and lost forever." She goes, "You take it," and I go, "Am I allowed to take it?" And she goes, "Probably not. So just get out of here." And I was like,
she stole it.
I had that moment where I was like, "Are you even authorized to give this to me?" But whatever. But I think that happens all the time. Like, how many times do you hear like a movie prop or whatever turned up in some guy's attic because his grandfather had it or some crazy, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a time where the the Freddy Krueger glove, the original one, was missing for like 20 years, and then it showed up somewhere at like a garage sale or something, or like some guy had it at a Comic-Con, and someone recognized it, said, "Is this the original thing?" And the guy's like, "I think so, I'm not sure." And we took pictures of it, and we compared it to shots in the movie. Like there's there's like a scratch here, and the same one exists. Yeah. And they matched it up, and they actually they found the original one.
That's awesome. You know, we talked about this a while ago on an old podcast. I wouldn't even know which one it was, but there's a show on Disney Plus called, I forget what it's called, Prop Hunter or something crazy, where the guy just goes around and just discovers all these old props, and in some cases
that sounds cool. Yeah,
he authenticates them, and in other cases, he finds like other things, and it was such a good show. And like, I know they have that kind of thing with like, those, what do they call those, hunters or whatever? They'll do their antiques, but they do like all kinds of stuff. Like this was just,
they do storage wars and stuff.
Yeah, this was just pure movie props, and it was great. And actually, I will say, like, the unfortunate thing, Prop Culture is what it's called on Disney Plus. Prop Culture.
Prop Culture.
The unfortunate thing was it was only Disney movies. Like, you kind of start watching and go, I want to see what all these other movies kind of have to offer and where those props are and stuff.
But that is pretty cool. We'll track down memorabilia like that.
Yeah. I remember
I dig.
When they had, and they did, so in Prop Culture, they do Mary Poppins, Tron, Nightmare Before Christmas, Pirates of the Caribbean, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Chronicles of Narnia, the Who Framed Roger Rabbit episode was killer, and the Muppet movie. So it was pretty good.
Hey, there's a lot of stuff you can, what happens to all that? Do they go into like a storage container somewhere? They're forgotten about.
Yeah, they warehouse it. So it's interesting. I just watched a YouTube video like a day or two ago when remember that season of Curb Your Enthusiasm where they brought back Seinfeld, and it was like the Seinfeld reunion season. Yeah. They had to do all that stuff. They had to go on the lot and find all the original set and like rebuild the setup, and it was so funny because they were like,
how'd they do that?
It was just it's in a warehouse. It's in a warehouse, and it's labeled, and it was like, just go here to find it.
You know how much money that would make if someone set up the original set, like of all these shows, Cheers, Seinfeld, Frasier, if they just put all these sets up somewhere
Yeah.
and just everybody just walked through and took pictures. They would kill. It would make a fortune.
You know what's crazy about that? When they went to go get the set, they realized that the door was missing. You know who took it?
Got to be Kramer.
Jerry.
Jerry took it.
He took it. He took the door with him. So they said like
walking out of there just with the door.
That's how I walked out of there with the CVS FM sign. I was like, oh, it's a huge street sign. It's not like you can hide it. I had to take that on the subway with me. It was very.
Jerry's. I can't imagine the day, like when it's time to strike that set. On Seinfeld, when it's just like, all right, take it all down.
And then they had to go and rebuild it back up. So like the prop guy or the set designer had to call the old set designer and be like, hey, where was the Superman They had this Superman statue that he had on the bookcase. They had it. It was all the books, all the movies, the cereal boxes.
How that isn't set up in a museum somewhere. There should be.
I know.
I mean, there are television museums and stuff, but why there isn't a museum with just every set?
I know. But they keep it. They hold on to it for whatever. And I guess if they have that, like this reason, like, hey, we need this set again. Now they have it. You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
They set the whole thing up. Like they were told, rebuild it exactly. Larry David gets on set and he goes, this is perfect, except I don't think Jerry would have that refrigerator anymore. And so everybody started looking around at each other like, yeah, you're right. If this is like 15 years later, why would he still have the same? So everything else was the same except for the refrigerator. They changed the refrigerator.
That's weird.
Yeah.
There were a few things I rewatched. My wife and I rewatched like every season, and then we jump around every now and then. But there's this thing on the refrigerator. It's like a couple of letters. I don't know if they mean anything or if anybody ever figured it out. But on the refrigerator, there's like a piece of paper. And it says like EW or something. Oh, it's like a yellow piece of paper.
EWR?
That might be it. Is that significant? Well, it has to be something.
You know what that is?
No, I don't.
Newark Airport.
Is that so? Why is that?
That's how JFK and LaGuardia is LGA, EWR is Newark. Yeah, so maybe because he had a flight or whatever, that's probably what that was.
It was on there a lot. So, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Solve that for you. What else could I knock down?
I appreciate it, man. That's been bothering me for a while.
Who knew? I was the Seinfeld expert on all of this.
Easy, pal.
All right, here's what Frank's talking about. Wait, maybe I'm wrong about this. Let's see. I don't know.
It might be the wrong letters. I don't know. But I know there's a W. I think it might be even EW. I'm not sure.
No, yeah. No, I think, you know what? I think it's a taxi. Hold on. Let's see here. It definitely was
a lot of episodes.
It definitely was EWR. Let's see. Hang on. I'm in one of those weird slideshow things where I got to get an ad every 3 seconds.
I hate that.
Just to get to it. Yep, here it is. It says taxi information underneath it, but EWR is.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. I always wondered what the hell is that thing.
Yeah.
And, I never thought pick up my phone and just type it in, but why would I do that?
All right, we'll leave it there. There's plenty of episode this evening, or whenever you're watching or listening. Appreciate that. By the way, there was an alarming amount of people that need to look up the definition of impeached. Okay, there was a lot of people that were commenting on the last episode. They were like, "He wasn't impeached. You're fake news." Like, no,
he definitely was.
I watched.
He was.
I read a 14 comment thing of one person going after the other person, like, you need to look this up, and it was just so hysterical. The person was like, "You're a troll, get a job." And I was hysterical because I was like, no, the guy's actually right. Impeached doesn't mean that you're removed from office. People don't.
No.
You got to just read stuff and educate yourself a little bit on these situations. Just a little bit.
Google is a big machine that I refuse to use in the last thing.
Frank, you know what? It's like 30 years ago, if you didn't know these things, I'm going to let you slide because
it was a little tougher. Yeah.
It's hard to obtain knowledge, but now everybody's got it on the tip of their fingers. Just go look it up.
Absolutely.
Just go look it up.
I'm in.
But appreciate.
The other thing, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the other thing is there are ads in our videos, but they're not controlled by us.
We don't pick which ones they are. In fact, everybody sees different ones.
Yeah, everybody sees different ones, and the amount of ads. We don't tell YouTube play a million ads. That's just what happens.
All that stuff we just leave as is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever YouTube puts in there.
Yeah, I don't touch any of that stuff. So
the only ad we control is the Hero Soap Company. Bam.
Bang biscuit.
That's the one.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna go downstairs and hang this on my fridge next to my EWR sign. Have a great rest of whatever. Appreciate you guys watching and or listening. AnthonyOnAir.com has all our links and info, and we'll catch you on the next one.